Hi, I'd like to show you CapitalStream. In the last presentation, I showed you how a quote gets originated within CapitalStream. We also were able to turn that into a credit application. In this demo, I'd like to show you the straight-through processing functionality within CapitalStream. So the first thing I'm going to do is log on as a credit analyst. So after I log on, you'll see that my theme changed, and we can basically indicate what role we're logged onto by looking at the top left-hand corner, and we'll see the credit role. By default, I showed up on my to-do tab. So this is basically a to-do list of items that are on my plate. So for example, I have a transaction that needs financials reviewed. I need to review the credit bureaus that were automatically pulled via the system. There's another deal that requires a credit decision to be made against a transaction. So right when I log on to CapitalStream, I see the work that is assigned to me. If I was a different user, I would see a different list of to-dos based on CapitalStream's ability to assign work to different users. As well, there's the assign deals, my teams, and assign work that can all be used to either reassign work from me or as a manager to assign work from one person to the next. So the system will do its best to assign people work, but if there's specific reasons why we want to assign work from one user to the next, this allows us to do it. And this allows us to manage these teams. So this can be done for various reasons, whether it be someone's overloaded, someone is more appropriate for the work. We do have the capabilities in CapitalStream to not assign work for people on vacation, but if by chance the profiles aren't updated and work does get assigned to them, or they have to unexpectedly leave, work can be reassigned. These other tabs show deals that I created and programs that I can use to apply and create new quotes and credit applications. And of course, we can see all the quotes that we have created. But as I mentioned, I'm logged on as a credit officer, so I could navigate to a deal that I need to work on by either clicking on one of the deals that are on my to-do list here, which I'll do right here. The other alternative is I could type in the transaction number right here and it would take me to the same place. Basically, when I click on the link for the deal, it's going to take me to the transaction details, and this is the credit application that needs to be reviewed. So in the previous screen, I showed you the list of to-dos that have to be completed for several transactions assigned to this one user. Now, this view here is going to show me exactly what needs to be done by this credit officer for this specific deal. So there's really two approaches to working deals. I could work on them based on my to-do list, which basically would take all the deals. However, if I want to take one deal and work it from start to finish, I could focus and stay on the workflow tab of that deal and process it through. And keep in mind that as I finish my tasks, they move on to the next appropriate person. So as you'll see with this transaction, after I create my credit analysis and I complete my decision, the transaction automatically gets assigned to the document manager to produce and distribute the documents. So one thing that the credit officer is able to do is have a credit analysis created. And basically, this can be thought of as similar to an electronic credit file. So typically, I would navigate here by clicking on a to-do link from the to-do tabs, but I'm going to show you manually how to navigate between within the transaction. So I loaded up this new transaction. I clicked on the credit tab and I clicked on the credit analysis. This credit analysis was automatically created. So we are minimizing any work that doesn't add value to the credit analysis process. So when I first open this, I'll immediately see that we pulled business and consumer bureaus for this transaction. So we've got a PayNet. We pulled a score from Fair Isaac, a D&B poll, and we have an Experian consumer poll. If we navigate to the exposure, um, exposure is going to be pulled automatically. So in the case of Caterpillar Financial, this is going to actually go out to Unison, get the booked exposure, look at Capital Stream, calculate all the pending exposure for the related parties, the people that we guarantee, or the customer guarantees, and the guarantors of the customers, several levels deep, and come up with the exposure calculations. We'll have scoring done available via Liquid Credit. We have our credit bureaus all consolidated, both business and consumer bureaus. We have financials, and then we can upload free-form documents. Any electronic document can be uploaded to this credit analysis, and we can add memos. And then furthermore, this credit analysis can have its own workflow and can be managed separately. So after this is done, I could go and create a credit decision for this transaction. So if I'm on, again, a lot of this would not be driven by just me clicking through the links, but could be driven by the user clicking on the to-do within the workflow or within the to-dos tab to navigate to where I need to go. Here I'll just bring up a credit decision. So you can see it's approved. We're going to have structure and terms. We can have credit decision conditions, credit comments, structure changes, reason codes, really a lot of information. We can also have free-form comments in the memo sections. We can also upload, again, binary documents against like Word documents, Excel documents, whatever we need to support the credit decision process. Okay, so after the credit decision process, basically the transaction moves on to the next step. And depending on how we configure this for Caterpillar Financial, that might be the doc management group. So now I'm going to log out as this credit officer, and I'm going to log on as a document manager. So again, you can see up here that I'm logged on as the docs role. And immediately you see a different set of to-dos. So follow up and clear any exceptions, generate the documents, receive the documents from the customer, which will allow uploading and categorizing within Capital Stream. So let's just take a look at transaction here. The one thing that you'll see with the straight through processing of Capital Stream, depending on the type of the deal, the region of the deal, the product type selected, whatever categories that we come up with, a number of documents will all be automatically generated within Capital Stream. So users will not have to go and manually add what documents they want as part of the package. It will just automatically generate. As well, if they need additional documents, they can go to add documents and add additional documents from the template. Furthermore, if they have existing documents, they can choose which ones they want to select to be presented to the customer. We have the ability to merge them, so we can take, for example, 5 Word documents and merge them all into a single PDF document, and then immediately email those documents to the customer. We can also manage the status. So right now, there's no status assigned to these, but as we get signatures from the customers and they bring them back, we can upload into Capital Stream and update the signatures here and update the status here. Okay, so that is the role of a doc manager. Lastly, I could go in and when it's time to book or fund the deal, I could log on as another user. And this, again, this deal would automatically transition from the person that received the docs, updated the status. As long as they followed the workflow, the transaction then would, via the straight-through processing workflow capabilities, be assigned to the person doing the funding or booking. As you can see, I logged on as different user. I now have the funding role. I have a different set of to-dos, and so I can go and provide what they call a funding audit. So if I were to show you what that might look like, pull up a transaction here, and I'm going to show you the functionality of a checklist. Now, checklists do not have to be limited to funding. We can provide checklists at any stage of the process. So, for example, perhaps a credit analyst is finding that several things are missing uh, after sales submits a credit application to credit. Well, we could implement a policy checklist that basically, prior to going to credit, that there's a number of items that need to be reviewed and checked off as being complete. These checklists can be automatic. In other words, we can set up logic via the front end configuration to say, automatically check this if the asset cost is less than or equal to the decision amount. Things like that can be automatically checked and completed. And we can also override functions based on certain policy exceptions. So we can have these checklists set up to ensure that we've got all the right information and the correct items have been completed before moving on to the next step. Also, we have the capabilities of adding funding requests within Capital Stream. So here, if I click on the invoices and funding summary, you'll see that we can make check and wire requests. We have in our 9.3 release of the product, this entire section will be enhanced to have to basically have authority limits and double signing of funding requests. So you can manage the workflow and the authority to fund deals within Capital Stream within the roles. So in summary, that is the process through funding. Now, via workflow, workflow will automatically book this transaction to Unison. There's not a whole lot to show there because it all happens behind the scenes, but as you can see, the straight-through processing took us from the credit up from really the salesperson or dealer entering a quote or credit application, transitioning that to credit, and then the document person automatically picked it up and generated docs, and then automatically flew right to funding and booking. So that wraps up the demo. Thank you very much.